16. How do I validate tests?
Tests that fail a disproportionate percentage of members in a protected class may have an adverse impact and therefore may be considered discriminatory unless validated. Although the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission (EOC) doesn't require that tests be validated, your company could be held accountable for validating the tests used if it can be shown that they produce an adverse impact. As a result, all tests should be validated according to the Guidelines for Employee Selection Procedures, 1978, published by the EOC. The guidelines make it clear that any selection process that adversely affects employment opportunities for any protected group must be validated if possible. All testing instruments, whether published or employer-created, should be checked for relatedness to job duties. This needs to be done for each type of position. Tell me more. An employer policy or practice, like testing, may cause a disproportionate adverse impact on the employment opportunities of any race, sex, disability, or ethnic group if the selection rate for that protected group, say, women, is less than 4/5, or 80%, of the selection rate for the group with the highest selection rate, for example, white males. If adverse impact has been established, you should consider test validation for job requirements and performance. 3 validation methods have been approved by the EOC. Content validity studies establish that the content of the test is consistent with the job's duties and responsibilities. A typing test for secretarial candidates, for example, has content validity. Criterion validity studies, in comparison, measure the relationship between the test scores and some measure of job performance. A test is considered valid if there is a significant statistical correlation between the test results and the individual's job performance. Finally, construct validity studies are complex and not used very often. This testing methodology attempts to correlate to match between the test taker's individual characteristics and a job's requirements, for example, leadership. Keep in mind that pre-employment tests must adhere to the employment provisions of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. If these tests tend to screen out those with disabilities, then the company will have the burden of proving that the exams are job-related and consistent with business necessity. Even if the test is job-related and consistent with business necessity, you'll still have to provide a reasonable accommodation for the test takers if their disability prevents them from taking the test or negatively influences test results. Possible accommodations include modifying the test or testing conditions or even eliminating the testing requirement altogether. Therefore, you should always check with federal and state laws and regulations before implementing pre-employment testing programs. Employment lawyers and testing professionals will help you through this somewhat complicated field of the law. Remember as well that testing should supplement, not supplant, your decision to hire or reject candidates. After all, the purpose of aptitude testing is not to tell you whom to hire, it is to tell you whom you are hiring.